was back some time ago now. In fact, as I remember, it was the year of the open winter. No snow for months. People in these parts will never forget it. Seemed like that old east wind brought bad luck whenever it blew, but that year it combed down the high country till you had to look twice to see where the grass had ever grown. But to begin at the beginning, my name's Beach Carter. I'd hired on to help bring some old skin and bone horses down out of the high country. They carried the Ream Gervais brand, and they sure weren't much to look at. Not after that winter. Ream Gervais, he'd talked Pop Appling into wintering them up at his place. And come spring, Pop and me was trying to get them home so they could eat somebody else's hay for a while.
Get in there, boy. Get in there.
As for me, I'd only signed on for 2 weeks. We'd already been on the trail for 3, so I could hardly wait to get my pay. Old Ream, he was a fella never seemed to be in the right place at the right time. I was just hoping my money would be there. I was about fed up with this job, and I didn't mind saying so. Get out of here, Grandma. She's got to be the oldest horse I've ever seen. I sure don't know how she made it through the winter.
Grandma's well past her time, my son. Before you came along, she's nearly tuckered out. Took quite a fancy to you. Might call it, maternal instinct.
Maternal instinct, my Aunt Minnie. She's after my hat, and you know it. All these horses look pretty hungry. She's just the most persistent.
We'll be hitting Gervais' place soon. Just over that knoll.
Well, I wouldn't be surprised if some of these horses keeled over in the meantime.
I grazed 22 horses for the winter, and I'm going to deliver 22.
Come on, Grandma, get on up here. God bless America.
Well, it's the end of the trail, Beach.
Yeah, end of a bad deal for both of us. Hey, now that this thing's about... Why'd you do it?
Do what?
Take the Gervais horses for the winter.
Well, I had some grass. Should have run up to carry a herd through the cold months.
Yeah, but they came in half-starved. I mean, you contracted to feed them, not to treat them for malnutrition.
I know that. That's a job I agreed to do.
Out of your own hay?
Stockman was having enough trouble.
Yeah, well, I'd cut them loose.
Most likely you would, son.
Oh, well. Anyway, payday, here we come.
I'll take a look.
We need it engraved. He's not here.
Might be a note inside or something. You take care of the horses.
I don't know where you horses are gonna go. Oh, boy. Come on.
Looks like the government took over this place, or a mortgage company. I don't know which.
Well, you know, you can't trust Reem Gervais to be anywhere you want him to be. Our job was to herd these horses here, and here they are, so I figure we clear out. Hey, well, it's not like we didn't give a day's work for a day's pay. I mean, we went the extra mile. We're on our own time now.
No, I just wouldn't feel right dumping them and walking away. I agreed to deliver these horses back here. I sure would feel a whole lot better if I could find somebody to deliver them to.
Yeah, well, I'd feel a whole lot better sitting in a hot tub drinking a cold sarsaparilla. Couldn't happen any time too soon, either.
You know, Three Notches only a couple miles away. I think I'll ride over there and see if I can't find somebody who knows something about this. I guess you can wait here just as well as you can anyplace else.
Yeah, I guess I can't. Go ahead. Now. I know, I hate this worse than you do. These horses carried a lot more weight than you. This grain just little enough to even it up. Come on now. Get it on. No, Grandma. No. No. Okay, I was always told to respect my elders. Come on. Come on. What am I doing here? hope you come back with some good news. One of my prized possessions at that time was a funny old heirloom. Come down from my granddaddy on my mother's side. Fought with the Confederate Army. I was the last of the Carters. The Carolina Carters, anyway. And that's how the old pistol ended up with me. I didn't own much else.
The horse got a bit of grain in town. Won't need to be fed again. Gervais pulled out a couple of weeks ago. All of his men quit, so he bust his sheep and took them to the railroad. Sheep sure gonna bring a price this year. Won't be able to buy lamb under $12 a head.
Look, I didn't drive those old pelters 80 miles to come back here for a market report.
I couldn't find anybody to turn them over to. Gervais didn't leave any word what he wanted done with them.
Well, sure. Gervais, he's right in character. Why not? You got some starved out old horses, bring them to Pop Applin. Run out and don't worry about it. Man like Pop Applin, he'll probably even figure a way to get them down to the railroad. Yeah, the railroad. And you've probably been sitting there thinking how you're going to get me in on it, right? Well, save your time, because I've quit. And you'd been a lot better off yourself to do the same sooner.
Well, now, it might not be as much of a trick as you think to trail them down to railroad. Of course, we can't go by road in a starved out year like this, but there's a lot of old Indian trails through the high ground.
Indian trails? It's 180... It's 180 miles to the railroad. Indian trails.
Well, now, as long as you're dead set against it, tell you what, I'll meet you halfway. We'll trail them down to a patch of grass I know and leave them there. Ought to be enough so they wouldn't starve, and then I'll go find Gervais and tell him where they are. And you can go on about your business. Couldn't be much fairer than that to my notion.
Look, if you expect me to trail those horses down there on Reem Gervais' account, you've turned in a pretty poor guess.
Gervais doesn't count in all this, son. It's you I'm thinking about. If I'm not mistaken, it could be against the law to abandon horses, and you're liable to find yourself on the run and use that gun of yours. As old as it is, I doubt if it'd be any good. Well, that old thing just a museum piece without a trigger.
Hey, you don't worry about this old gun. It'll handle itself. What are you changing the subject for? I mean, I've been thinking about those horses. I have, but, well, I know they won't go any more than 20 miles, and, well, I know they won't go 20 miles, and I don't think it's any worse leaving them here than walking them to death down the ridge.
Horses cause people less trouble when they're on the move, and you can't get cinched in court for it. And afterwards, well, sure makes you feel real good to know that you tried everything you could. And that's the least we can do, according to my notion. But you suit yourself, though. If you'd sooner pull out, it's all okay with me. We just leave what little grain we got behind.
All right. All right, I'll help you herd those old horses down to the ridge if you want to be so mule-headed about it. But I want to tell you something right now, right up front. I've lost all my patience with a man that sticks by his mistakes when he's been cleaned out by them. Hey, I put the oats away. Up kind of mean, clubbing off the horses for the food. So I put it out of sight so it wouldn't prey on their mind. It's in the barn if you want to take a look. Sure you don't break your neck, though. There's about a half ton of potatoes ricked up in there. Looks like they haven't been disturbed in about 20 years. They got shoots on them about a foot long.
Potatoes. Did you say potatoes? found them taters hadn't been for you, or gotten any good out of them hadn't been for me. So we make a fine team, you and me. We're gonna get those horses through the grassland yet.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess I'll starve a little slower anyway.
Let's get a move on.
Come on, Grandma. Well, that's how it all began. I'd said I'd go as far as the first grass. So there we were, Pop and me and 22 tired old horses with a big stretch of country to knock around in. Maybe I should warn you, it's no great historical event you're going to hear about. No killings and shootouts. None to brag about anyway. This story's just something that happened to a wild young maverick, me, and a tough old cowpoke and a crazy bunch of half-starved horses. And when it was all over, I'll admit it, I learned a thing or two. But that part will come to later. Rough going reaching that high country, but we hadn't expected anything different. What we hadn't counted on once we got there was meeting up with competition.
Looks like everybody's brother's gone into sheep business.
Yeah, I thought you said these Indian trails are going to be empty.
They certainly are. Normal times, they never use them anymore. Nobody's right mind to bring woolies up here except prices have gone sky high.
Yeah, well, I just hope that grass you've been bragging about is where you said it'd be.
It's either there or it ain't. Let's push on. Water in that sea bowl, too.
Yeah, how come you didn't mention that before?
Son, in this country, you never promise water. Grass, maybe, but never water. This grass ain't much, but it'll have to do.
Them brutes won't even drink.
Huh. Sheep tracks. They're not going to either.
Are they that stupid?
Nope, just smart. They'll drink out of a stream, all right, but not out of a sea pole made for sheep. Between sheep dip, the oil on the wool, not a horse in that herd will touch it.
Yeah, they get thirsty enough, they'll drink it. Of course, that's their problem. Horses won't drink and the water's bad. That's the end of the... You gonna leave these horses here?
Nope. Camp here tonight. Move out first thing in the morning.
Yeah, trying to figure out a new wrinkle to get me to help you herd him down to the railroad, huh?
It'd be better to trail them down the railroad. Of course, I can't ask you to do that because it's outside what we agreed to do. That water clear up soon, be fit enough to drink. I figure being the horses can make do. You can settle down here for a few days, and I'll go around and fix it up to sheepmen to leave the herd here.
Leave him here.
Got to do that. But don't, they're liable to think it's a wild bunch to start shooting at them.
Now, wait a minute.
Someone's got to stay here with the horses. I think I can get along with the sheepmen better than you can.
Whoa, now, you leave those sheepmen alone. They don't want those tame horses eating that grass any more than they do the wild ones. And I tell you, they won't make any bones about coming in here and shooting things up. If you got the sense you were born with, you'd pull out. That's what I'm aiming to do. Look, I've worked with those people in the sheep business before. I know how they think. You're gonna land yourself in a whole lot of trouble, and I'm not gonna be around. I'm pulling out in the morning.
Son, bring me that pack horse, will you?
Well, I'd spoke my piece. And Pop, he didn't say yay, nay, or hallelujah. That night he turned in like he didn't have a care in the world. I tell you, he had me buffaloed. Here's a man already out 2 stacks of hay worth easy 80 a ton. He's got 22 head on his hands, not worth shoe leather. He's chasing around looking for some hide-and-seek owner who probably doesn't even want the worthless brutes. And he's over there sleeping like a baby. And I'm sitting there wakeful. I tell you, it burned me up just thinking about it. Hey, Grandma. Grandma! Leave me alone, would you? Come morning, I did what I said I would. I pulled up stakes. I wasn't gonna throw in with an old fool so dumb he couldn't see it'd been cleaned out.
Kind of thought he'd stick it out, Grandma. Just you and me now.
What with all my fussing and fuming, I'd done a couple dumb things myself. The first one was I lit out without any water. There's a lot of animal tracks around here. It looks like there was some water here. Oh, come on. I tell you, we grew older than Grandma waiting for this thing to fill. Of course, I could have turned around and gone back to Pop's camp. Likely the sepal had cleared up by now, but I was too stubborn and prideful. When you're young, I guess you're that way. My second dumb move was lighting out with no grub. And pretty soon I began to get a wee mite hungry. Gad, I could have chewed a leg off a mule. I guess maybe I was expecting to eat off the land with that old gun of mine. But if I'd stopped to think about it, grass being as scarce as it was, I might have known there wasn't a shootable animal in miles, excepting maybe a sheep. And that was one remedy not recommended in these parts. a known fact that brush rabbits is what you feed a man in the last stages of famine, because he's not likely to injure himself eating too much of it. But for ordinary, everyday occasions, it's pretty much looked down on. It might have been funny if I hadn't been so desperate. Sad part of it was my old gun couldn't hit the broadside of a barn. I happened to wing one of the little critters when I threw the thing away in disgust. Well, I can only say that rabbit cooked up just about to expectations. It wouldn't have won any cookbook awards.
How you doing, son?
Getting by.
Where you from?
Around. Upper country. I'm just traveling.
Strange place you picked to camp.
Well, this is where my horse gave out. He won't drink any of that water where the sheep been in. Those sheep been in, you know. So he's been breaking down kind of easy lately.
Country around here is littered with sheep camps where a man can get water or a decent meal just for the asking. Fact is, there's a place for horses to drink in one of my camps. My hand can take you there. Even put you to work so you can earn a stake for yourself. See, by looking at you, you're a man that puts in a full day.
Well, I guess I think I carry my own.
You know anything about a herd of old work horses Reem Gervais has been pasturing around?
I don't know. I don't know anything about where Reem Gervais is, but I tell you what, I'd take you up on that water offer, and thank you kindly you point me in the right direction. I don't need any job, because I'm just kind of passing through.
Now, son, don't be so prideful. You could use a stake, and it's not charity at all. You help me, I help you. That's a neighborly way, ain't it? Times like these, folks got to look out for one another, wouldn't you say?
Well, I thank you just the same.
Son, I got 5,000 lambs I'm trying to get through, and I'm fighting wild horses for pasture every mile. A horse not worth spit in the ocean eats as much as 2 dozen sheep. Worth $20 a head with the lambs. Now, you can see how that figures out. Now, me and the other outfits, we got the wild horses pretty well thinned out. But Jake here, he come across the trail of a new bunch.
They came down from 3 Notches way a couple of days ago.
Now, it'd be in my best interest to know where them horses are.
I guess it wouldn't do any good to let on like I don't, but I tell you something else. It won't do any good to try to deal with that man, because he'd never sell out on the man he works for.
He might just deal with a little urgent.
Now, son, I'm gonna find that fella and them horses eventually. I just don't want to waste a lot of time doing it.
Well, I'm not gonna give you any help.
Well, son, I admire you, I truly do. What would you say if I told you that pony of yours was gonna go thirsty until you gave me some directions on where that herd of horses is?
Hey, You just wait a minute there now. Don't get any ideas about using that rifle. I'll let this hammer go, and your boss there's gonna get his tack drove. Now, I'm not gonna give you any directions where the Gervais horses are. I'm not gonna let my little pony here go thirsty either. You just throw down those guns. The canteens, too. Hey, you forgot something, didn't you, mister? Huh?
Now I'm going to tell you a thing or two. I'm not asking you, I'm telling you. What you're doing here amounts to robbery by force of arms.
Now, just save your breath, mister. And listen, that man's never sold out on anybody in his whole life. And I'm not going to sell out on him either. So you've had your say, you just head on out. Hey, I'll leave these here. Don't be in a hurry to come back and get them, though. I get myself in this. Not around in this gun. Grandma, come on down here. Well, Grandma, I've never seen a horse like you. You break all the rules. Well, I was going back anyway. Doing it again, huh? Okay, here. I followed Grandma back, or tried to. That old horse had a one-track mind, and when she set out to go, she went. I figured if she'd come from Pop's camp, she'd somehow find her way back to it. Grandma! Instead of that, darned if she didn't beeline it for that water hole I dug that very afternoon. Grandma! Dumb old horse. No camp, no water. Grandma, you're as about as useful as wings on a buffalo and more trouble. I just dug this dry hole not 3 hours ago.
I knew you'd find it if Grandma found you.
How'd you get here?
Same as you did. Just followed Grandma. We owe a lot of thanks to this old biddy. What are you gonna do, just stand in that water?
Oh, what the... How'd Grandma find the water?
Smelled it. Horses can smell water a country mile, especially thirsty ones.
When I came by before, the sink was dry as a bone.
Son, you just ain't been studying your nature, that's all. There ain't no water here in the daytime because the trees drink it up. At night, the frost freezes and the trees can't draw the groundwater. So the sink fills. Well, any halfway smart animal know that.
Yeah. Yeah, especially a smart old coyote like you. And maybe Grandma.
Well, now you know it, too. I had a notion you'd be back when you had time to think things over. All right, so you had some trouble with the sheepmen. Which was it? You couldn't get along with them, or they couldn't get along with you?
Yeah, the only trouble I had was over you.
Over me?
Yep. They wanted to know where your camp was, so they could ride in here and hang you up and shoot you and carve their initials into that stubborn old hide of yours. You better start expecting some people coming in here, I'll tell you. Well, why don't you bake them a cake, huh? I just stopped in to see how your sociability was working out.
Oh, you just got in some kind of a ruckus with them?
All right. What now?
Bed down here and start with the early light.
Look, if you're still thinking about that crazy stunt, you better start thinking about pulling out with me.
Peach, if you were going to pull out, you'd been long gone already.
This whole thing's impossible. You're gonna break us all trying it.
One step at a time, son.
That's what I hate about this whole thing is Reem Gervais thinks I'm doing him a favor.
Well, I reckon he won't take it for one. But we're going to get these horses through because it'll be a favor to you.
Oh, I see. First I gotta tell you thanks, and now I get a favor out of it.
Well, it sure ain't going to be no picnic, but we'll make it.
Okay.
Oh, boy. There's your friends.
That's a guy I drew down on.
Oh. There's a water hole.
They follow us?
They might. If you're being followed by somebody, it's a good thing to know where they are. Come on, we got a long ways to go.
Them nags can't be that far ahead.
They went up that far hill, that's what I think.
All right, water your horses as long as we're here. Hard country through here.
Hey! Hey! Well, didn't I tell you so?
Nope.
I don't think these old nags are gonna make it.
Horses are a lot tougher than you think.
Yeah, like some other people I know.
Yeah, you're good to pull on your belt once in a while.
Sure. That's what I love, starving and dodging crazy sheep, man. I don't see anything. You sure we aren't traveling in circles? I keep finding that set over my left shoulder.
Don't worry about that. I know this country. Every draw and gully in it. Learned it when I was half your age.
Yeah, well, I just hope they don't know it as well.
Come on, boy.
Too late to do us much good now. I wish you'd been a much sooner.
Yeah, all we need now is for Grandma to come down with pneumonia.
Yeah. What's that old saying? Some people just don't have sense enough to get in out of the rain.
This is the best way of the river I know. Let's move.
Young man, this is an unexpected pleasure. I kind of figured we'd meet again. If I'm not mistaken, these horses wearing the Ream Gervais brand. And this man must be the ramrod of this cavvy.
Seems like.
Seems more than likely. Seems obvious. Now, I want you gentlemen to understand, we mean you no harm personally. But we do mean to have them horses. So if you just ease out of the line of fire.
After that sheep camp ruckus, we put in some hard traveling and no stopping. I told Pop them sheepmen were going to come out like hornets once they got themselves put back together and organized. Besides, we had some tough country to get through before we'd ever reach the river.
Hey! Come on! Get on!
The river kind of marked the edge of sheep territory. Once across, we'd be pretty much in the clear. But the one thing we hadn't figured on was the spring runoff. No denying, that river looked real mean.
Oh, we never get across this.
Well, we can't swim it, that's for sure.
Well, we've had it. We're done then.
Well, maybe not. There's a ferry downstream about a couple of miles. Righteous hereabout use it for transporting stock. Nobody tending it, nobody to cause us any trouble.
Okay, let's hope we get there before they get here.
Yeah!
Hey!
Stay here. Take care of the horses. I'm going down and take a look at the ferry.
Stay here. What about our friends? All right, don't be too long, though. That sheep boss gonna be down on us. Ooh, now, boy, easy, easy now. Take it easy. Come on. Let me take a look here. And I don't know how you made it this far. Oh, Grandma. This is mine. Would you quit taking it, huh? I don't know how you made it this far. You're a tough old gal.
Keep them bunched up.
I thought you said this was a stock ferry. We'll be lucky if we get 5 horses on this thing. We've had it. I'm telling you, we've had it. We're no more than 2 hours ahead of them. They're gonna be down on us. Holy Mother McCready! What are you doing? Look, anyone around here that's gonna bring them on the run. And what do you think they're gonna say when they see 2 strangers trying to steal their ferry?
Anybody coming this way to cause us trouble, be sorry they did. I'm through accommodating.
Accommodating? Hear that, Grandma? Accommodating.
Come on, come on. Come on, boy. Come on. Come on. Come on, come on. Come on, come on. Come on. Son, stop yapping at Grandma and grab some horses. Come on, come on. Come on, get in there. Get in there. Come on, boy.
Hey, get up there. Come on, come on, get in there. Get up there. Get on there. I have to admit, the idea of them sheepmen being on our tail was weighing on my mind. We'd be in a bad fix if they caught up with us hung up at that ferry. long as that back trail stayed empty, I figured we had a fighting chance.
Probably tried to ferry. Come on.
After this was only 5 more, son. Yeah, I'm ready. Swim for it! Be careful, Rich! Careful! Stop him! Don't let him get away!
That, fire feels pretty good after a cold bath, doesn't it?
Oh, it's not bad. Trouble is, it's a beacon for anyone who wants to cause trouble.
Well, none of the men on the other side of the river will bother us. They have to swim for it. But of course, there aren't many folks a swimmer that you are. Anybody on this side that wants to give us a hassle, I'll fill their hand.
Did you find all the horses? Not that it means anything to me, but I know you're filled to the brim with some crazy notion you have to deliver 22 horses to a Mr. Ream Gervais.
Well, now, as a matter of fact, we're going to deliver 23. A gangly little mare and foal. Just about ready.
Oh, great. Just what we need. Something else to slow us down, and you're walking around with your chest out like a new father. I'll tell you, we've had our heads in a barrel of trouble before getting this far. Now we got the waist. That's enough to make any man shiver. Any man that's got enough sense to sidestep a rattlesnake. You better stop and add this thing up. It just ain't worth it.
Look, son. What the horses are worth ain't nothing. Part of this trip you'll be glad you went through. You're entitled to that much. After the work you put in.
Well, I figured that...
No sense in my trying to explain it. You'll notice it when the time comes.
Every once in a while, Papa'd get into that thing of his, hinting there'd be some kind of special reward for me at the end of the trail. I could never figure out what he was driving at. He was a strange one. Show him a loss and he'd count it a problem. Show him a setback and he'd count it gain. He seemed to find his own satisfactions in just about everything. And to top it all off, he's talking about a reward, like some kind of pot of gold at the end of the rainbow.
Get up there, girl.
Well, we just kept slogging on. We grazed on the run and watered when we could, which wasn't often, and generally tried to keep out of sight. No, thanks. Look at old Grandma just plop along. One right after another.
Yeah, she's got some pluck, all right. Important thing is, she's not tired of living. As a matter of fact, she's had quite a spring in her step these last few days. She hadn't been chasing your hat.
Yeah, now that you mentioned it, that's right.
She give up following you with that young mare that's about ready to foal. She knows what's gonna happen, and she wants to be on hand.
Maternal instinct.
Come on, Grandma. Pete!
Nothing here.
It was a minute ago, a cougar.
Out here?
Yeah, he must have followed us in from the canyon country.
Never heard of a cougar doing anything like that.
He would if he was hard pressed.
Come on.
Well, there it is, Lost Miners Camp.
Yeah, anybody come this far must have been lost.
Water, sand water. Hit the spring area. Very few people know about it.
I gotta warn you about this water. This coffee's gonna taste like battery acid.
Horses drank it, didn't they?
That cougar's been trailing us.
Never mind that, cougar. The wind's blowing up.
What do you want to do about the horses?
They'll take care of themselves. Grab our gear and get under cover. Hurry up. Come on. Let's take that canvas and stick it between the boards. Hope it works. How you doing?
I got it. Let's hope it holds.
Well, that's the worst I've seen in 20 years.
How long do you think it's gonna last?
Minutes, hours, and some, who knows?
Whew. It's really blowing.
Yeah.
You know something? I've been trying to work this thing for I don't know how long. Just can't seem to get it done. You want to give it a try?
Not right now.
I guess it was while we was holed up in that sandstorm that I began to figure Pop out. He was what I'd call a big sky man. He thought big and he thought important. And little things he just brushed aside like ants at a picnic.
Wake up, boy.
Shake loose them cobwebs. We gotta get going. I thought I was supposed to be the sleepy and feeble half of this outfit.
I'm all right. I just caught me in the middle of a dream I saw. Nothing to it after you know how.
Well, I guess that's the way with most everything, son. Some of our orphans wandered during the night. You round these up over here and I'll grab these.
Okay.
I didn't see that young mare in there with him.
I got 20 aside for more horses in the pack horse. Mare'd make 21 and Grandma make 22.
You better take a look then.
That sandstorm had swept the country clean as a broom. There wasn't a track to be seen anywhere. But Pop followed his hunch and went with the wind direction. He said them nags were almost certain to drift with the wind. Of course he was right. He always was. We found the horses, but we found something else too.
Do good work, little mother. If I had a cigar to smoke, I'd smoke.
Dandy little cold, isn't it? Huh?
It sure is.
I never seen one any prettier than that. What do you say, Grandma? Hey, Pop.
That young mare, all right. Waited till she was helpless before we tore into her. But he didn't reckon with Grandma. The old gal sure took charge of things. Ain't much of a cat, is he? Skin and bone. No wonder he followed.
I'm having a hard time working up any sympathy for him.
Tough times for him, too, Beach.
I didn't think the claw marks were that bad.
They ain't, Beach. The whole thing was just too much for the old gal.
Losing Grandma kind of set me back a little. Of course, now that I'm older, I can be philosophical about it. Grandma's going coinciding with the birth of a new foal, the life cycle renewing itself, all that. But at the time, I felt kind of empty without the old gal around to pester me.
You seem awful quiet today, son.
I guess it's got me down.
Life goes on, Beach.
Yeah. You know, it's kind of funny that it bothers me. Grandma was the oldest horse I ever saw. Should have packed it in a long time ago, I guess. But I don't know, the herd just isn't the same without her. Guess I don't mind saying it. I kind of miss her.
Well, we know one thing for sure. Just didn't waste away and drop dead in some barnyard. You know, maybe it wasn't meant for her to make it to the railroad. As old as she is, she probably would be made dog food out of anyway. Oh, she traveled with a purpose and saw it through. Her last moments were filled with her blood pounding, everything working, all the life in her going. I hope I do as well when my time comes.
Yeah.
tell you something. If I ever call this old gun of yours a museum piece again, you can call me on it.
I'll tell you what, you better pray you didn't hit anybody with it. I'm telling you, we're in a jackpot if those guys own this land and they're just trying to run us off.
Beach, those ain't sheep, men. And they wasn't here because they're trespassing either. They're horse thieves.
Horse thieves?
Yep. We brought these horses to a place where they're worth something. Let's get them together. End of the line. Howdy.
You must be Appling Beach.
That's right.
Mr. Gervais has been expecting you for the past week. No one believed he had a herd moving in. Glad you made it.
Well, no more than we are. Where's he want them?
Mr. Gervais said don't stop feeding water them. Move them right into the railroad holding pen.
That old goat's got the market all tied up, scarce as horses are.
What's that?
Oh, nothing. You tell Gervais we're coming right in, not to worry about any feed bill.
You know, after looking back and thinking about how far we've come, I'd feel a whole lot better if Reem Gervais didn't work himself in on the end of it. If he's gonna get in the picture, I'd just soon drop out of the whole business.
You'd be a fool to do that, son. This trip was outside your work contract. You can make Gervais pay what it's worth. I'll go on into town, see about what he owes you. Not to mention what he owes me. We'll figure out corral space, feed, and what have you when we get to the pens.
Now, wait a minute. You want me to take him in all alone?
Yep. I want you to bring him into town with yourself. You ain't seen all there is to a trip like this yet. And you sure don't want to miss the ending.
Pop's instructions, not quite knowing what to expect. I kept saying to myself, what is it I'm supposed to find here? What is the big reward anyway? Well, when the time come, it sort of dawned on me all of a sudden. The pot of gold was simply a new way of looking at things, a new way of figuring the worth of things. That was the whole idea, the worth. Call it appreciation, call it growing up. After a piece of hard trailing, you get a whole new slant on things, especially that first time. Things like getting used to the idea there were places where people could throw away enough grass to feed a horse. Just throw it away. Things like seeing enough water, people could use it to clean off the sidewalk. Things like free ice for kids to chew on. All that stuff I once took for granted. I never would again. It was something more. All those people seemed glad to see me. I sure was glad to see them too, but I wouldn't have traded places for all the ice cream cones in town. I still had my one main job left to do, get those horses to the railroad. And the moral of the story, if there is one, is that if you say you'll do a thing, you do it, in spite of everything. You keep a promise. That's what Papa really meant. If I learned nothing else from him, I learned that. Learned it for keeps. And I'm downright glad I did, too.
Oh, we delivered these old nags safe and sound, didn't we?
Yeah, and COD to boot. Oh. And there's your back wages. And here's well, it's just a little something extra from me.
You men brought in these horses?
Yes, sir.
I gotta hand it to you. What you done gives a man hope in these times. A youngster like yourself bring a herd of horses down from the outlands. Never them backcountry people got a chance to make a year of it yet.
Thank you, Pop. Let's go,
You get enough riding through that town? You know it ain't the same the second time.
Yeah, it'll last me, but I wouldn't have missed it, you know? I wouldn't want anything the same the second time.